Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Mahmoud. In today's episode, I have someone special. I have Novika Ishar. She is a partner and chair of entertainment at Romano Law. Um, she's obviously a lawyer. I would like to pass it to her to introduce herself. Novika, first of all, thanks for joining and welcome to the channel. Would you like
Thank you
to
for
say a
having me
few?
here.
Sure. Would you like to say a few things about yourself?
Sure. As you mentioned, I'm an attorney. I'm the partner and chair of entertainment at Romano Law, based here in New York. We are a full service entertainment firm. So, we practice in corporate, intellectual property, media, sports, and entertainment, as well as litigation. And we've been around, I think, a little over 20 years now. I joined the firm, I think, about a year ago now, or a little over a year, to run their entertainment practice. So, my focus is primarily media, film, TV, publishing, digital media, podcasting, pretty much anything media or entertainment adjacent is the space that I work in. And increasingly AI as well, as that comes up across various entertainment sectors. So it's a very dynamic and constantly evolving practice.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah. I hope this is going to be a very interesting conversation because, as probably we talked offline, that we primarily focus on SaaS companies, but we are open to know, the struggles and challenges of different companies as well. So, we'll get some great value out of this conversation. So let me ask you this. First of all, why law? What made you become a lawyer?
I think it was sort of ingrained, I think, from childhood. My father was a lawyer, is an attorney. He still practices currently, although semi-retired, but he was a law professor for many years at Columbia and NYU here in New York. So I grew up with lawyers. It was very much in my blood from an early age. My father was a litigator, so he's the type of lawyer that goes to court and argues cases, which he still maintains is what an actual lawyer does to this day. But I am a transactional lawyer. So what we do is a lot of what you see, when you're looking at a website terms of use or, basic contracts for leases, usually that's what comes up in folks' everyday lives. So we're essentially just contract attorneys. We help negotiate and paper those deals. My practice, like I said, focuses on entertainment and media. So the type of contracts we look at are typically, film and TV services, media appearances, rights deals for any sort of intellectual property, could be copyright or trademark. So it's a very broad practice. So my role is primarily advising companies and clients on how to structure these deals in the best way for their interests, advise them on risks, help deal with any disputes or issues that arise in their day-to-day business, particularly in the film and TV space. But we do a little bit of everything. Our clients have pretty broad-ranging practices. So, I tend to advise on areas that are non-traditional entertainment as well, like software licenses or, corporate governance matters, and the occasional dispute. So, like I said, we tend to be a full service firm. So we try to address all of our clients' business needs that come up from the start of formation of a company through the day-to-day business operations and all the way up to the end of the sale or distribution deal. So it's quite an interesting practice, but I try to stay away from court as much as possible, having seen my father practice a few years. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to always grow up with lawyers. I've always respected and admired them and always wanted to be one.
Yeah, it make perfect sense. Like usually, if you have doctors in your family, you end up leaning more towards in that field.
Yeah.
Yeah, lawyers are the same as well.
It
It's
runs in the blood. Yeah.
absolutely great to hear. So. At Romanolos, as you mentioned, like it's a big farm and it does a variety of things. Do you like weigh something like are they focused on something more than the others, or it's just like equally distributed organization?
We're fairly busy across all practice areas. I would say litigation tends to be the most labor intensive. Once there's a case in court, you tend to be spending a lot of time litigating on behalf of your clients. My area is transactional, so we stay out of court. So primarily, I would say we focus mainly in the media and entertainment space, which is where the busiest. also corporate practice. So we've recently started implementing what's called a fractional GC program, where we basically advise clients as a holistic entertainment firm, essentially as an outside general counsel for their business on a flat fee model. And we can certainly delve into this a little bit further, I'm sure, in the podcast. But a lot of law firms have recently been struggling with the billable hours. You know, clients find it very onerous and expensive to work with lawyers on an hourly basis. So one of the things that we've been experimenting with in our practice group is rolling out a flat fee model, which is essentially a monthly subscription model for legal services. So it covers a holistic set of transactional legal services that we can provide for our clients. So I would say we're fairly busy across all practice areas, but we're increasingly focused on providing outside, fractional general counsel services for our clients that encompass all of our areas of practice. So we're really moving towards that kind of holistic law firm services model.
Got you, got you. I'm glad that you mentioned, because you kind of touched base a little bit on my next question. I was gonna ask like, why Romano? Let's say, okay, let me take a step back, ask it in a different way. So if I am a potential client, why would I pick Romano over your competitors or any other law firms? So what makes you guys better than the other?
I would say there's three top line reasons, although we can probably count numerous different ones. But primarily, I think the size of a firm really matters in my experience. So I've come from big law firms in the past where, they have very big name clients and are much more of a large revenue driven practice. And so you have lawyers at those firms who are kind of working on 10, 20 different client matters at a time. So they're not as well versed or involved in the day-to-day client matters, right? They're kind of just doing a volume of work for a number of different clients. Our firm is a little bit more mid-sized. It's a smaller practice. And so, we're able to service our clients on a daily basis in a way that's very rooted in understanding our clients' business and being involved in their day-to-day work. We try to think of ourselves as collaborators, as business partners for our clients. So we're not just an outside legal firm. And we have the ability to service our clients on that deeper level because we are a smaller size firm and we deal with more selective clients. At the same time, we're big enough that we have the resources and infrastructure of a law firm that solo practitioners might not. So we're kind of in the sweet spot in the middle where we can really provide, I think, more personal legal services for our clients. So that's number one. Number two, I would say, as I mentioned, we're holistic services firm. So we really try to cover every practice area that could implicate a person's business or livelihood. So for example, we have clients who work in the media space, but they have employment legal needs, like they have questions regarding employees and employee benefits, or they're looking to trademark a new logo for their practice or for their business. So we kind of advise on every area of practice that comes up in their day-to-day business operations. We're not really focused or siloed in any one area. And we work very closely across our departments to make sure all of our clients' legal needs are being met. So I would say that's number two. And then number three, as I mentioned, we've increasingly tried to move away from the billable hourly model. We had noticed that it was a deterrent for a lot of our clients who are particularly in the growth or startup phase. They're looking to get the legal advice they need, but may not be able to pay like hours and hours of legal fees. And so we try to structure some sort of cost certainty around the legal services we offer. So you know that you're going to get a full package or suite of legal services and access to our full team for a flat monthly fee that you pay every month. So you know how much it's going to cost, you know how much to budget for, and there's no worry about picking up the phone and calling your lawyer because you're worried about hourly. So it's designed to be as client friendly as possible, and we work with our clients to come up with a scope that suits their business. But we've increasingly started to pivot more to that flat monthly subscription model because we just find it's more cost effective and more efficient in a lot of ways as a legal firm to service our clients on that basis. So that's really kind of a new model that we've rolled out in the past year. And I think we're pretty much at the forefront of a lot of law firms doing that sort of business model.
Yeah, I mean, the subscription model make total sense because I have met so many different people because they don't have their in-house law team, so they have to outsource it, and it can
Yeah,
very fast become super expensive, especially if there is
absolutely.
if there is a ongoing case going on and whatnot.
And
Uh,
you may not be at a stage where you can hire a full-time lawyer in-house either, right? Because that's also expensive. So we're cheaper than general counsel, but we're more cost effective than just being standard hourly outside counsel who tend to charge higher rates. And so we kind of try to meet that sweet spot in the middle for our clients.
yeah, no, absolutely. Just this point itself is good enough to convince people.
We
And
like to think so or hope so.
perfect. Yeah, no, it's a very clever approach, and I'm sure a lot of people will follow your footstep and then come to that. But it's fun to be at the beginning or at the forefront of new ideas. It's always fun. Cool. So how do how do people find you, or how do you find your clients? Like, is there a process in place, or how does it work?
Sure, yeah, so we have a website, romanalaw.com. You can search for us online, and we have a consult portal that you can sign up for. So you get a free complimentary 15-minute consult to talk to one of our attorneys and assess your legal needs. So we provide that on a complimentary basis, and a lot of our clients come through our digital marketing services or website. Additionally, we do a lot of in-person events here at our firm. So we do sponsor, local events around festivals or different conferences that might be happening. So we try to have some networking events at our office to introduce our clients to each other and sort of become a nexus for people who are in the media entertainment industry or space here in New York. So we like to think of ourselves as connectors and kind of, one of the places you can kind of come to and connect and be part of that community. So that's a great way to get connected to individuals who are in that industry in New York. And then I would say, lastly, we do value a lot, as I mentioned, the in-person interaction, the personal aspect of being a legal advisor. So I do tend to typically go out and do a lot of in-person networking. I attend a lot of festivals, a lot of conferences in the media industry. I meet with clients one-on-one, try to get lunch with them here and there. I'm always sort of staying in touch with my colleagues and my network because I do think, it's very easy to get lost in the shuffle these days. There's a lot of competitors out there, lots of new businesses starting up. We're seeing a lot of innovation. So, the need for legal services is constantly evolving and the demands our clients have. And we're constantly trying to meet those needs. And so part of my job is to go out, understand, where there is a need for legal services, what kind of clients have those needs, and how we can best address them. And some of that we can do online through our website and just meeting folks that way digitally, or through our LinkedIn page or social channels. But some of that we just do in person, right? The old-fashioned way, which is just to tap into our network and our friends and our colleagues and see, who we can help and partner with in the future or collaborate with. So I would say it's probably a combination of like digital plus the in-person component of marketing, which I think tends to be the more fun part of my job, honestly. So I certainly enjoy meeting people in person as much as possible, although Zoom is, I know now, the preferred method of communication these days.
Text message.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned because for one of my other ventures, I do have an attorney, and um her name is Gretchen, but not in details, but usually if I'm talking to someone, if you're saying, "Oh, I'm in a meeting with Gretchen," not I'm in a meeting with my attorney or need a lawyer or something. So there's that personal connection that always wins over anything else. It's the best way. But in the
Absolutely.
day and age of digital technologies, medias and whatnot, people are unfortunately getting a little bit detached from that personal connection. So, a little bit of both make more sense than as the technology evolve, we as a human being needs to evolve as well.
Yeah,
You
you have
did
to do both.
absolutely. You did mention a little bit about the digital marketing system. Like how does that work for Romano laws?
It's probably a better question for our marketing team because they're the experts on this. But from what I understand, we have a pretty strong digital footprint. Our website gets a lot of traffic and we're very good about pushing our content out there. One of the things we like to do is be a forefront of thought leaders on certain topics. So we tend to put out or publish content regularly, both on our website and our social media handles. We do a fair amount of blogs. Increasingly TikToks as well, as that becomes a popular platform for folks to view content on. So we try to have as widespread a digital media presence as possible. I tend to be more active on LinkedIn. That's my personal platform, but I think everybody kind of has to find their voice and where their comfort level is in terms of putting themselves out there in the digital sphere. But I tend to find LinkedIn is a very effective platform or tool to reach people. Instagram and TikTok are becoming popular for lawyers as well. I am personally not on TikTok, but I know a lot of attorneys that are. So I think our marketing is very good at finding, which content kind of goes viral or it gets the eyeballs, and they'll push it out there, to increase visibility. So we have an entire and publicity team that's devoted to just pushing our media content out there, which they're very effective at. And then we also do appearances like this, talk to folks on podcasts, or founder Dominic tends to go on news channels a lot. I think he was recently on News Nation and CNN, so or MSNBC, I believe,
Mhm.
talking about various, current topical legal issues. So I think that visibility is very important. But, for my industry, for entertainment, I think that personal connection is very important. It's a very niche, it's a very small, insular industry. And I think, like most industries that tend to be a little bit more niche, it's all about who you know and building out that network. And for me, I think the best way to do that is really the in-person interaction. So I tend to go to conferences where people in our industry or specialists congregate. I tend to take those lunches. When someone invites me out to an event, I say yes, and I go to meet people there because you never know how you're going to meet folks. So I think the in-person is still a big part of my practice, but I think in general, we're seeing like a lot of inflow coming in through the digital media footprint that we have just by virtue of the content that we put out there as experts in the field.
Got it, got it. Yeah, make perfect sense. Once again, you touched base a little bit about my next question.
Okay,
Um,
good.
as I was gonna ask that, in the tech industry, I guess where AI has the most effect as of now, it tends to sort of disrupt the labor force a little bit, quite a lot. If you see the trend for last couple years, especially like the entry level jobs or like entry to mid-level jobs have been really affected, especially, programmers, designers, and so on and so forth. What would take us to do, months can be now done in days and even shorter than that. Do you see AI replacing some of the entry-level uh, law jobs, or let's say someone just graduates and would they be challenged by AI replacing them? Because a first few years is always, you're not going to be in a position where you fail. You probably trained up to that level. But what's your take on that?
That's a really good question. It's a question we get a lot, but the short answer is right now, no. I mean, I don't know where AI is going to be 10 years from now, but the technology we currently have, I don't think can replace a human for the reasons I mentioned, right? Like you don't know if the information you're getting is accurate, and that's very important as a lawyer. You have certain restrictions around confidentiality as a lawyer, so there's only so much information you can really share with an AI tool, especially if it's being trained in any sort of public platform. So there's a lot of considerations that lawyers have from both an ethical standpoint and a legal substantive perspective, where I think, can only do so much before you really do need an attorney to weigh in. Now, that's not to say that eventually it won't get to a place, like I said, where you can kind of rely on AI to do the initial draft of something or the initial research for a scope of assignment. But I think you would still want an attorney to vet any content that's created by AI, because what AI can't do is provide the nuance or wisdom that an attorney that's been practicing for several years would provide. Now, again, on the junior side, I think to the extent that you still need to have paperwork or content that's produced by AI independently vetted, I do think you need still junior associates to do that, right? Because they have a knowledge that the AI tools that we use, at least in the legal world, currently don't. But again, I don't know where that technology is going to be 10 years from now. That's a real concern that folks have in the industry.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you have a um, just a vision, like where do you want to see the company? Don't without thinking of realistically or anything, if you have the vision just to take the company to somewhere in the next 12 months, where would that be?
Primarily right now, we're focused on the rollout of our fractional general counsel program. So, we're really focusing on this push of moving to a subscription monthly legal service model for the many reasons I mentioned, mostly to benefit our clients, and just provide them with cost certainty for legal services in a market that continues to be very uncertain. So, my hope for the company for the next 12 months would be to really focus on that rollout and switching our clients over to that model. to create this new business model that's more cost effective, where we can provide the necessary legal services for our clients to meet their needs. We are in a stage of growth. We're a rapidly growing company. As I mentioned, we've been around a good amount of years, but I would say in the last perhaps 5 or so years since the pandemic, I think there's been rapid growth as different industries have exploded and the need of legal services has evolved. And so we're kind of evolving to match those needs. So we're always looking to expand. We've brought on a lot of new folks to our team. We're always looking to bring on new great folks to our team and continue to expand our footprint here in New York. But we're a cross-jurisdictional firm. So we're based primarily in New York, but we have lawyers who practice in California, in Maryland, Texas, DC, Massachusetts, and a variety of other jurisdictions. So we're always looking to expand into new markets, maybe even outside the US, like the UK, for example, as our clients continue to expand. So my hope for the firm would be twofold. It would be to continue the rollout for the FGC program and really focus on being pioneers in that space for the legal market. And then continuing to expand and grow and bring on new great folks to our team who can help us continue to scale up at the rapid pace that we've been evolving for the past 12 months.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds in line with your current growth. So that's the vision. That's where you want to be, and you're where you are today. What do you think can be the challenges, possibly, are the realistic challenges that you might face to get to that level?
The first challenge, I think, particularly with the new FGC program that we're rolling out, is just awareness. It's a new business model, it's a new type of legal service that we're offering. And so part of our campaign or initiative for the next 12 months is to really educate people on the benefits of a subscription legal law firm, and sort of working to tweak and finalize that model to make it as efficient as possible for our clients. So it's kind of a work in progress that we're continuing to grow and develop and work with various specialists to refine. So I think part of the challenge is coming up with a model that really works across the board and is tailored to the needs of our various clients. And then also bringing that awareness to our clients and the market in general more broadly so that they're aware that this service exists and benefits them to utilize it. So it's a big publicity and marketing push that we're making in the next 12 months. So that's kind of the first challenge, is just getting the awareness or the word out there. And then number two is, bringing on team members who are really going to help align with and push the growth of the firm in this new direction. I think part of the challenge of any company, law firm or not, is to find the right team members, and you have to find folks whose values are aligned with the firm, who have the same goals and objectives and understand the culture of the company they're in. And that can be tough, finding the right people to match the culture of the company. And we tend to be very selective because we are a small company and we want to make sure, everyone works well together and we can most efficiently work together to meet our clients' needs. So part of the campaign that we're doing is not just to evolve the scope of legal services we offer, but to continue to grow and evolve with our team, and find the right people to bring on board as we continue to scale up. So I think hiring is always at the top of our mind, and something that is an ongoing, push or initiative for our firm as we continue to grow.
Got it. Got it. Cool. So we are almost at time. I just have one last question. So again, as we mentioned, that we are a fairly new company. We've been here for a few months, but mostly we've been doing a lot of research and development while even before we launched our project. So we are fairly a new venture, I would still say. So do you have some suggestions in this space as an experienced person, as an experienced attorney for us as a new organization?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, find a good lawyer to get ahead of any potential legal pitfalls that you may face. I always say it's important to have a good legal foundation and structure in place and good contracts as you move forward, because the last thing you want to do is face a legal challenge as you're growing, and then you have to go back and rewind and undo some of the damage from the get-go. So it's always good to talk to a lawyer to make sure you're proceeding in a way that's protective and aligned with your business goals. So that's number one. And I say that as an attorney, and I realize that's probably my bias, but I do think it's very important.
It is. Absolutely.
Number two, I think it's finding the right team, right? I think it's being with the right people who are going to be aligned with your vision and are going to help grow and really put in the work to get you where you want to go. And I think the last part of it is just to have a clear vision. I think, at least speaking as an attorney, one of the challenges of my job is wearing the cap of both, a lawyer and also a business person, because they're very different mindsets. And so, as a lawyer, you're constantly thinking about risk and how to mitigate for risk. As an entrepreneur, you have to be a little bit more willing to take on risk, so it's a very different mindset in some ways. And it can be challenging to switch back and forth between the two. But what helps for me is just having a clear vision, just putting together a plan and certain expectations or metrics that I want to meet, like you said, in the next 12 months, and making sure, I'm checking in to see that we're approaching those goals, or, if we're not, what can we do to improve the path that we're on? So it's learning to be a little bit more, I think, technical and analytical with yourself, right? And really holding yourself accountable for these concrete goals that you're setting for yourself. And sometimes it's good to have someone there holding you accountable, whether it's a business partner or a colleague or a friend or your lawyer, to make sure you're meeting those goals. So, I think it's always a work in progress, particularly for a young company or a young entrepreneur. You sort of learn as you go. And I think the important part is to adapt, right? And learn from whatever doesn't work out the way you expect it to. And so it's not so much seeing it as a failure, but as a learning tool, and continuing to grow and evolve from there. And I think as long as you kind of put in that work, and you're putting out a good quality product, then I'm sure that you'll have lots of success in your future.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Those are wise words.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
absolutely. I always try anybody talk to me, anybody asks me for advice, which is I don't know why would they, but I will try to say
Well,
that
you're very experienced in your own field, so I'm
true.
not
Yes.
surprised.
That I'll take. So my advice is usually is that if you fail, that means you tried. If you didn't fail, that means you haven't tried. And if you haven't tried, you will for sure not going to success. So you're completely eliminating the success if you're not trying. And if you're trying or
Very true.
learning the next step, you might be able to be successful. Uh,
Absolutely. 100% agree with that.
so we're at time. Where just one last thing, where can people find you if they want to hire or work with you guys, work with Romano Laws?
Sure, yeah. So you can always email me directly. I'm happy to chat with folks one-on-one. My email is my first name, Novika, Novika at romanalaw.com. And I'm happy to put that in a chat or send it out in case folks want to reach out to me directly. But, we have a firm webpage. You can look for us online, and our office is located in Battery Park in New York City. So if you're ever in the area, pop in and say hi. But these days there's no shortage of way to connect with people. So I always tell folks, whatever is your preferred method of connection, whether it's LinkedIn, social media, our website, or just a personal direct email or call. Feel free to reach out anytime, and we're always accessible.
Perfect. Yeah, and I will put down all those information in the description. So if anybody wants to follow and wants to get more information, it's going to be in the description. Novika, thank you so much. This has
Thank
been
you.
an amazing discussion. I've learned a lot, and hopefully our audiences will learn a lot from you again. And thank you for being on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Sure, sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking around for this long, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.